We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome on this Sunday afternoon. Just going to wait a few minutes. We have a few people join us so we can get started. I'm so excited. I have my friend here this afternoon on this beautiful Sunday. I'll give you a formal introduction in just a minute, Mr. Arrington. We're just going to wait for a couple people to join us. For those of you who are joining us, be sure you click on the StreamYard link at the top of the post on the Fans of Unsung page so we can see your name. Let us know you're here. Say hello. Say hi to Steve. Tell us where you're popping in from, where you're joining us from. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Sunday. It's beautiful here in Atlanta, but it's a beautiful Sunday anyway because we woke up this morning. How about that? So welcome, everyone. Again, if you did not hear my announcement, please click on the StreamYard link at the top. If you're on the Fans of Unsung page, if you're on Steve's page, you may not see that. You may want to go to the Fans of Unsung page, but so we can see your comments. But be sure you say hello to us. Tell us your name and where you're joining us from, what city you're from. We want to know. So yeah, they're coming in, Steve. So let me go ahead and give my formal welcome. It is a pleasure to have this afternoon someone I've known for a few years now who I enjoy speaking to all the time and has the best music. We all know him. We all know that voice. It is the amazing, the talented, and I'm going to say, in my humble opinion, the spiritual, because we're going to talk about that a little bit too, Mr. Steve Arrington, the voice of Slave. Yay!
Right. Tanya, good to talk to you again. Great to be here.
Too. It's great to see you. We get to see each other this time. How about that?
For sure.
In the comfort of our homes. So thank you, everyone. Yes, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please say hello. Who's out there? Let me see you. Don't be shy. Let us know. We got a few people, but sometimes they just like to watch and not talk. So we want to know who's joining us so Steve can say hello to you. So please post a comment or just say hi to Steve. Thank you for joining us. Again, if you're just joining us, click on the StreamYard link so we can see your name and Steve can say hello and I can tell him who's here. So we got Kansas City in the house. That's Delbert Scholes from Kansas. Hello, Tina Battle, also from Ohio. Yes, she's saying hello. That's my good friend, Tina. Thank you all for joining us. I know people have things to do on Sunday afternoon, but there's a few people joining us and watching, and you can always view it later. So, Steve, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us this afternoon. I truly appreciate it. I'm always humbled to have you. And I'm going to go ahead and get started because we got a lot to talk about. I'm excited.
Let's get it.
Yes. Hello from a natty native. Somebody's saying that's Mac Terrell Simmons. Thanks for joining us, Mac. Okay, got Ohio in the house. So, Steve, I always like to start at the beginning. Okay. So can you tell us, let's go back just a few years to the beginning and tell us how music got started in your life. What made you interested? How did it all start for you?
Dayton, Ohio, where I'm from.
Yes.
My mother played music all the time in the house, and especially on our Saturday mornings cleanup, right?
Yes.
We would have jazz playing, and my brothers, Victor and Gary, they both played music around the house all the time. I was the younger. My brothers are 7, 8 years older than me.
Okay.
And so music was always around. Everything from Walk on the Wild Side, Jimmy Smith, all the Ohio players' music was going, and then of course all Motown and then a lot of very interesting things also like the Doors and Crosby, Stills and Nash. So much variation of music. And that's how I grew up. And I just had the bug right off and wanted to play drums and just, that's how it started for me.
Okay. So let's move up a little bit. We're going to go through this timeline. So that's the seed was planted. You found like you had a love for it. So tell me, where did it go from there? Tell me, what did you start performing in high school or just walk us through the process on that timeline and tell us how that went?
Well, my brother Victor had a band called the Soul Agents Citations, another band he had, and they used to let me play bongos with the group, right? Wherever, some places I couldn't go in because the clubs, yeah, I couldn't play. But where I could play, they would let me play. But the cool thing about it is they rehearsed at my house. And so many of the great musicians from Dayton were there, different times in my brother's band. Like the
Oh,
great Junie Morrison came through, played keys for a while. The great Craig with
mm,
Lakeside played bass with
yes.
my brother for a while. It was awesome. So all these musicians, Tim Dozier, the original drummer for Slave, played with my brother for a while. Victor had all these great bands and so many great musicians, and I would sit on the steps and just watch. And then the drummers, they said, "Hey man, you can actually play on my set when I'm not
Mm,
there." So they trusted me to, to get down.
right.
And it just built from there. And then I started playing, as I got a little older. I played more with musicians that were my own age, and that's where I started to kick in with people like Mark Adams, the great Mark Adams, rest in peace. Um, we started doing things, Floyd Miller from Slave, and
Mhm.
we went on. We had a group called the Young Mystics, and that was high school time, right? We
Okay.
got over the bands, uh, things like that was going on. Talent shows, Lakeside was at the talent shows doing their thing. A lot of people from Sun, a lot of people from the group Dayton, Phase
Yes.
may have been called other groups, but a lot of the people who had come together ended up being national acts together, and we all sort of hit at the same time. But after those initial, really young interests, high school, battle of the bands, that kind of thing was happening.
Very good. And you hit on something everybody knows, or if you didn't know, Steve is from Dayton, Ohio, as he said. And there was just a lot going on in Dayton at that time, wasn't it? Let's talk about that for a minute. It was a hotbed. We know a lot of the groups that we love came from Dayton, and you were right in the midst of it. What was that like?
It was crazy. First of all, the Ohio players hit. Man, we heard Pleasure, but the first joint was Pain, and it was like, yo, we dug it, and they was from Dayton. So
Hmm.
so many groups playing in the garages, in the basements, and we were all inspired by the Ohio players. The Ohio players are the fathers of Dayton funk, straight up.
Yes.
And so yeah, we were all influenced by the players. And another guy that was in the players, Marvin Pierce, was also in one of my brother's bands. So I knew him, before he had joined the players. But anyway, the players hit, and the rest of us were like, yo, man. And they were so original. Not only did they hit, but they hit after Sly had did his thing and started to wind down for a while. In my opinion, Ohio players was running the whole game.
Hmm.
And we were so influenced by it. We didn't try to sound like the Ohio players, but we wanted to be original the way
Right.
the Ohio players were original. And so all the bands came up behind them.
Okay. Wonderful. Yes. I can only imagine what it was like. As we know, we've got, let's name them all. You name them, Steve. I don't want to leave anybody out. Of course, Slave,
Yeah.
Lakeside, Ohio players,
Zap,
of
Jester
course.
Williams, Fazo.
I don't know if I knew Vesta was out of
Oh yeah.
Dayton.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I must have forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in a local group Flash. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no
School.
doubt. The group Dayton. Uh,
Yes.
yeah.
Bezos,
Um,
son.
yeah, the Mighty Wilder Brothers.
Oh,
You know who
yes.
that is? You know
Heat
who that is?
wave.
Yeah,
Of
that's
course,
what
I
I'm
know
talking
who
about.
that
There
is.
it is. I just threw that at you like that.
You just trying to test me.
Come
Okay.
on now. Come on. Heat Wave. I mean,
Hmm.
think- oh, Platypus. Yeah. That's another group. Different, totally unique. Yeah. They was on Casablanca, I think. Rock,
Okay.
punk, cold with it. So it was a lot of stuff coming up in Dayton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Sun, Flick My
while we're,
Brick.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
I was saying Sun, the group Sun, they did Flick
Yes.
My Big radiation levels. Yeah.
And we've got, oh, my buddy is here. Eric EQ Young says, I love playing with Steve. What an honor.
Oh
There,
man, that's the homie EQ. Much love, homie.
yes. For those of you who don't know who EQ is, he is with Confunction, but he plays with a lot of other people and also a solo career and one of the baddest bass players out there.
Well said.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, EQ. Mark Terrell Simmons saying Dayton, Southwest Ohio is the funk capital of the world. Yes, it is. We got Houston in the house with Tanya Lucas overall. Hello from Matt Shahan in San Antonio, Texas. I'm just going to be reading these to you, Steve, so you kind of know who's here and what they might be asking or saying. So be sure everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to post them. It's your opportunity to ask Steve what you would like to ask. Hello from Portland, or by way of San Francisco, from Gregorio Lone Wolf. Hello from Southern California. So we got all over the place here. Thanks for joining us, everyone. So let's move on. Tell us about, a lot of people may not know, but you have a Latin percussion and drumming background, right? You went to California and were playing with, was it Sheila E., if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, the Escovedo family.
Family. Tell us about that.
Coke Escovedo. Well, I left high school, right? And I said, yo, I want to make it. Now, let me tell you how this works. Lakeside had went out to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And we were all so influenced by Lakeside. It's like, well, Lakeside decide to go make it out on the West Coast. They went to Los Angeles. I didn't go to Los Angeles. I went to the Bay Area.
Okay.
But the inspiration to do it was Lakeside. And I think Platypus went out to LA, and another group, record player, another group from Dayton, Cold Group. They went out to the West Coast and went out to LA as well. I went to the Bay Area, and my first connection there where I really started to get on was the great Coke Escovedo. I started playing drums with him, Latin percussionist. He was like one of the percussionists for Santana, started on the Abraxas album. And I met him, started playing drums with him. And from that relationship, I started playing more like straight up salsa, jazz salsa with Pete and Sheila Escovedo before she was Sheila E. And that was 77.
Okay.
77, yeah, at that time, 77, 76, 77. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I think a lot of people may not know that about you, that jazz influence background. So let's move forward. So tell us how Slave came about. And first, let me ask this. Where did the name Slave come from?
Well, Floyd Miller had a T-shirt. Now, I'm not an original member, so I wasn't there when he showed up to the rehearsal with the T-shirt. Okay. But as I understand it, he had a T-shirt. It said Slave, and it had 2 footprints on it. And they were thinking about, the name of the group and which direction they were going to go. And he walked in, and they saw that, and it just clicked. And then they sort of built a whole concept around that. What was so interesting is the group's sound was so earthy and thunderous. It really reflected all of what the word slave would mean from one perspective of being, put down and trying to come out. And you can hear Slave's music is so raw. It's trying to come out.
Yes.
So we kind of, it's a great, people ask, why would you choose a name like that? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Why did Prince put Slave on his face?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I had never asked you that question. So thank you for sharing that. So tell us how you came to the group Slave, how that transition happened and how you became a part of it.
Well, I was playing, like I said, on the West Coast, and I was just finishing my tenure with the Escovedos. It was starting to run down. As a matter of fact, Sheila was just starting to join George Duke when the whole world really realized who she was.
Okay.
And the drummer before me, Billy Cobham, had left, and I don't even know how it ended up that I got into the band like that, but I mean, because he was my hero, you know what I'm saying? Okay. I certainly wasn't filling his shoes, but they dug my feel, and I was able to to play with them. But in the midst of all of that, I heard this tune's like don't don't do do don't
Oh,
slide don't. And I'm like, I don't know who that is, but I'm feeling that. So I went to the record store, right, to go grab that. This is 77. I'm in the Bay Area, right?
mhm.
And I see the album cover. And I'm like, oh, that's a dope album cover. And I flipped it over and I saw several of the guys that I had been in the band with, the Young Mystics, had hooked up with some of the East Coast cats, which would be Stevie Washington, who was the leader of Slave.
Mhm.
Combined, I guess he came down to Dayton, and he's the nephew of Pee Wee from the Ohio Players trumpet player. Anyway, he came down to Dayton, met
Mm.
Drac, rest in peace, the great Mark Hicks, and formed Slave. I'm out on the West Coast, right? And I'm digging this slide. I flip it over. I was like, that's the homies. So I called back, say congratulations. And at the time they were on tour and said they were going to do a drum chair change. And I
Oh,
was just
okay.
finishing up my tenure with the Escovedos. And they said, hey, won't you come back to Ohio, man, and hook up with us? I'm like, yeah, that's a bet. So that I went back to Ohio, and they were practicing in New Jersey at the time because they were kind of between Jersey and Dayton because Stevie Washington was from Jersey and he was the leader. So
Okay.
we were doing recordings up there, and I joined the group off the third album, but I started touring with the group off the second album, The Hardness of the World. But I started to record with them on the third album, and that was The Concept, and that was 78.
And what album was that, Steve?
The Concept, when
Oh,
I
the
first,
concept was
yeah,
the album. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And so, and you were playing the drums, and at that time, where were you playing percussion or were you vocals at that time?
I was doing percussions. I did some background vocals, and I did
Mhm.
a bridge on a song Coming Soon. I
Okay.
did a vocal bridge on that, which was kind of my introduction to singing really in a more of a verse mentality. Otherwise, it was just me doing little ad libs. We are still are stuff like that, right? Doing background vocals. I was playing percussion, but on the one song I played drums was Stellar Funk, which was the single off of that
Mhm.
album. And then the next album, I held the drum chair down entirely, and for several albums after that.
Okay. Now, somewhere in there, you went from just doing percussion, and we started hearing that voice. Um, so, tell us where that transition happened, Steve.
Well, the thing with Slave is if you listen to Slide,
Hmm.
there's the great Danny Webster singing, there is the great Floyd Miller, and the great Mark Hicks. So it was more like the Temptations. Everybody sort of sang a part and did their
Right.
thing. And it continued on with that. And so we came to 79, Just a Touch of Love, and we're doing our thing and we vibing on the track. And people going to the mic. They say, man, Steve, go ahead and hit the mic and see what you come up with. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, do, yeah. I didn't have any words, right? We were just hitting on the track. Yeah, do, yeah, yeah, yeah. And they started like, yo, man, that's kind of different. It's kind of okay. Well, come up with some words tomorrow. I came back with some words. Make me shine just. And they was like, Jimmy Douglas was the producer at that time. He also was the engineer. Him and Stevie Washington co-produced that album.
Hmm.
And everybody was going, I'm feeling that. It's different, but I'm feeling it. So anyway, it was
Right.
very different from Slide in terms of just the tonality and the texture, right?
Hmm.
So everybody was like, I think we working with that, bro. I think we feeling now. Now, what was interesting to me, I came there to play drums. Singing was not on the agenda for me. I'd never been a singer in Dayton. I was not that guy. I wasn't, in the talent shows singing and nothing like that. I was playing drums, and that's where I felt comfortable.
Right.
But because Slave, it was even Tim Dozier did some singing too. I think the Happiest Days he did lead on that song off the first album for sure. Anyway, so they say, hey man, you sing. I'm like, yeah, I do a little something, something. Next thing I know, I'm listening to the radio 1979, and there I am singing lead.
How
Now,
about that?
first singing from the drums, right? And they say, yo, you're gonna have to come out front, bro. I'm like, I don't know nothing about out front, bro. I didn't know nothing about how to, read the crowd or how to move the crowd, none of that.
Okay.
So, I had to watch a lot of my contemporaries, and to learn how to, be a front man. And that's, but it started, I don't want to get too far into it, but it started with just being in the studio. They say, let's see what you got, Arrington. What's cracking? And I said, and said, get the words. And next thing I know, I'm on the radio singing.
Wow. I bet that was an adjustment. You literally went from the back to the front, Steve.
Yeah, and I
Literally.
didn't see it coming. That was not the plan. You feel me? That was not the plan at all. I was cool with being in the back. I'd always been so being up front was never, I was never like groomed for it or anything. But now I love it. And I had to go through a transition, I was a musician that sang to becoming a singer that also played drums and that took a while for that whole mentality to change for me. Like I said, I didn't see that coming. And, God, God works in mysterious ways.
Yes,
That
indeed.
I never saw coming. If you ask the guys from Dayton, they was like, yo, who's that? Arrington singing? What? Yeah, I never was the singer. Yeah.
And yeah, you were keeping that your best kept secret.
I guess so. I was copying my Hendrix solos, and you know how you do air guitar. I'd be like copying Hendrix solos and my mouth and trying to do a little Coltrane solos, but messing around, you know what I mean? So
Right.
it came in eventually. I developed a style through all of that.
Yes, you did. And we are very happy you did. We are very happy you went from the back to the front, Steve.
I appreciate. Thank you.
Let me read a few comments here. They've been coming in. Matthew Shahan, I love your disco music, and my favorite song of all time is Dancing in the Key of Life and feels so real and watching you. Um, Delbert Shows is asking, is there a better video of the original Slave? All I can find is an overdub version of Don Kirshner's rock concert.
That's a good one. We coming down the pipe. There wasn't a lot of that. We didn't. We also did, I think, a Soul Train performance.
Okay, so maybe he can look for that. You had a cousin on here, John Arrington. Love you, Steve Arrington. How you been, cousin? John from California.
Nothing but love, cousin. Nothing but love.
Your Dayton family in the house and your neighbor. We grew up on the same street, Lindenwood Road. That was from Kimberly Van Dyke.
Oh, Kimberly, what's up? Tell the fam I said, hey, Ron, everybody, come on now.
All right.
Ron Jones and all that. Yeah.
So Anthony Sanders is saying funk. Clifton Sanders, brother Anthony, just giving a touch of love.
Hey, what's up, Cliff? Appreciate that.
Let's see. Mr. Weak at the Knees, Way Out. That's Randy Butler.
Okay.
Allison saying, sadly, there's not much footage. I think she means of Slave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anthony saying, brother, you and the real members of Slave need to do one more Stone Jam with Godson Mark Jr. Let's see if there's anything else. People get mad at me sometimes if I don't get their questions and comments in. And Luther is here, the founder of the Fans of Unsung page. Hey, Luther, he is here. And he says hello. I saw he had popped in for a minute. I'm looking. Yeah, he said hello. I don't think he may be in and out, but we got to make sure we give him some props. So thanks to him, we're here today.
Much love, Luther.
Platform. Yeah. So, hey, Luther. All right. So let's move on. New York in the house. Hey, Steve. We got all kind of folks. Gary Cooper says, do you remember Val Hackett?
Yeah, I remember Val. Yeah, you Spanish slave. Yes.
Okay. Steve the Funk Legend. All right. So we went from the back to the front. That was the first single that you sang on, or you heard your voice. So what came after that? We had some more singles with your voice on it with Slave, correct?
Yeah. Well, we started to tour, right?
Okay.
Off of Just a Touch. And we didn't do a lot of shows off of that album. We were really pulling things together. Kurt Jones joined the group. and Starlina Young, actually, she joined before I did. So you had the Dayton guys who were enslaved, and then you had Jersey. And so we had all come together and made that Stone Jam album, which was the follow up to Just a Touch of Love. Now, Starlina Young was on the Just a Touch of Love album. The thing about it that I dig about the Just a Touch of Love album is we were growing and developing musician wise, and we were trying different things and we were opening up. By the time we got to that next record, Stone Jam, that had happened. We'd been together for a while. Things had gelled. And we were like a well-oiled machine. I mean, it was slamming. And we were having a lot of fun together. So we went into the studio after doing some shows, and I'm just still on the front man thing. When we first went out, like I said, when I finally came off the drums, I was watching. Okay, Larry Dotson. I see what he's doing. Rick
Larry,
James.
yes.
Rick James. Okay, and so I'm watching them how they do their front thing. Roger Trotman. I was watching all these people and how they were being frontmen, and I would just sort of mimic what they were doing. Charlie Wilson, until I felt comfortable, because not only do you have to learn how to sing and be out front, but you have to be comfortable being the front man and commanding an audience, right? So I had to learn all of that right there on the job.
Wow.
That was between dancing and, I should say, I'm sorry, that was between Just a Touch of Love and Watching You. By the time we got to Watching You, that had happened for me, so I felt more comfortable. And also I'm developing my own vocal style too, right? Again,
Right.
all this is all happening at the same time, because I'm not the vocal guy, I'm the drummer, right? So I'm taking more chances, and I'm not really thinking, I'm not overthinking it, I'm responding to the music. And by the time we got to Watching You, which was actually the first single off that album, Stone Jam, was Sizzling Hot.
Oh, yes.
And we jumped on Sizzling Hot, and Frankie Crocker from
Mm-hmm.
ELS New York jumped
Mm-hmm.
on Watching You. And he said, that's the single off of that. And it would relate more to Just a Touch of Love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they pulled Sizzling Hot and then went with Watching You.
Okay.
And it blew up around the country and the world. And by that time, we were, like I said, we were really solid together as a band with the new pieces that were put in place with the original guys.
Okay.
And so we just toured and had a big fun, and all those people that I mentioned earlier, the Barcays, cats like that, Lakeside, we were all touring together, Zap, and having a good time. And again, I was learning through all of it how to be a front man.
Well, I think you got it down now, Steve, for sure. Let me read. We got some more questions coming in for you. Has the producers, it's from Luther, has the producers of Unsung approached you? Has anyone approached you about doing Unsung?
No,
Slave?
no.
We would love to hear the story and see you on there. We'll see. You never know.
Yeah.
Carl Chestang is asking, do you still practice drums or play other instruments?
Well, on Nobody Can Be You But You, I played bass on that song. A lot of people don't know that I played bass on that. And I still play drums. I love the drums. That's where I started. But I don't play as much as I used to, although on my new record, I do some drumming on it. I'm excited about that on my new album that'll be coming out in August. So yeah, I still practice on drums, and I play keys too. I write, from the keys, and I still play bass, but I wouldn't call myself a keyboard player or a bass player per se, but I've got good ears, as they say. I can hear dope parts. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
And so let's, before I have a surprise for everyone, but before I go there, let's move into your solo career. Tell us how that happened, and let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay. Well, with Slave, there were people coming and going. After the first album, there was always personnel change. And the personnel change, we got better and got better and better and better. And then that continued, and Stevie Washington, Starlina Young, Tom Lockett, and Kurt Jones, they left the group and formed Aura, which was crazy. Aura was they was killing,
Yes.
right?
We had some comments about Aura. I was going to get to that. People,
Mhm,
they want to know, did you work with Aura? And they love Aura. So you go ahead. You're going to answer those, and I'm sure.
mhm. Well, the first Aura album we all did together as Slave, right? So we were branching off in a way that P Funk was, where you had Bernie Worrell did an album, or you had the Brides, and people that came out of the camp did their own albums as well. It sort of kept it in the family, and that's how we started with the first Aura album. But then as time went on, Aura went ahead and became an entity unto themselves. I
Okay.
stayed with the band, and our follow-up album to the Stone Gem album was Showtime. So we continued on after that, and we did the Showtime. We toured off for that. You could tell, by that time when Stevie had left, we were doing with leadership change. The great Mark Adams became the leader of the group, and we continued forth. And time went on. We continued to do personnel change. I left the band after the Showtime album, and my first album was Steve Arrington's Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And so, came with, the first track off of that was Way Out. And my thing was, I didn't want to try and make Watching You over again, or try to do Just a Touch of Love. I wanted to do something different. And of course, the record label, because we were still in the same family. I was on Atlantic, and Slade was on Cotillion, and Cotillion was a subsidiary of Atlantic.
Okay.
So they was like, yo, man, just do another Watching You. I'm like, no. I've already done that. Plus, that's Slade's vibe. I'm gonna do
Mm.
this thing over here, Way Out. You know what I'm saying? And so I started to form my identity as an artist,
Yes.
on my own, Steve Arrington's Hall of Fame, while showing love and honor and respect from where I came from, which was Slave.
Okay.
Yeah. So that first joint, that first album, I was excited about it. We had Weak in the Knees off that joint.
Woo. Yes. That's a lot of people's
Come
favorite, Steve. Give us a little bit of that. Just a little bit. Just give us a line.
along, are we gonna jam? Come along. I want you to let me hold your hand, yeah. Come along, it'll be so nice. I make you
Yeah.
feel like you never had in your life, babe. Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. I love it. I love it. And so right there, that was a good intro. We're going to have a special debuting for the first time with my special guest, Steve Arrington. Unsung Tears, for those of you who don't know that are on Steve's page, Unsung Tears are part of the Fans of Unsung page. And to our special guest, we have a special thing going on today. It's the KAMDI mini mix with our own special DJ in the house, DJ 12. You with us, DJ 12? Hey, thank you for
everybody.
joining us.
DJ 12.
What's going on?
We
Hi,
have
Tony. Hey, Steve.
What it
Hey.
is?
So, everyone, I want you to listen very closely. We're going to see how we got some true Steve Arrington fans out there. We got a KAMDI mini mix coming up. I want to see who can name all the songs that are in this mini mix. Let's see how good you are, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit afterwards. So, DJ 12, it's on you.
Y'all ready?
We're ready.
Steve,
Let's
go.
do it.
Steve Arrington in the house.
Here we go. KAMDI mini mix. Can you all name these songs? Yep, they got that. Hold on, we got more. They got it. I see them. Way out. Yes. Your fans are in the house, Steve. Okay with them. Hey. What y'all know about that one? I know everybody knows that one.
Yeah, you got me with that one.
Who knows this? Everybody knows this one. Terry Brown got it. I hope it's coming through clearly. All right, y'all.
Yeah, y'all, that was some brand new Steve Arrington.
That's right. A couple people got
Steve,
that
I
one.
want to thank you for letting me drop that new single.
Oh man,
I'll let you
DJ
talk
12.
about it now.
All right,
Thanks a lot,
DJ
man. Thank you for
12.
Much
letting me
love,
drop
DJ
that.
12.
Thank you so much for joining us
Much
with that
love.
KAMDI
You're
mini
welcome.
mix. It was a pleasure, and I think everybody was enjoying that. Awesome job. Thank you so much, DJ
Absolutely.
12.
You're welcome.
We're
The
gonna
pleasure was all mine.
we're gonna see
Steve,
you
I look
next
forward
time.
to having you back on the show.
That's
Tanya,
a
as
deal.
always, thank you so much. God bless. Y'all take care.
Big
Thanks,
ups.
DJ 12. All right. So actually, quite a few people got that one, so they've been listening, Steve. So let's talk about that. Was great. I think they got all of them. I saw people naming them, so that was good. So let's talk about the new single.
Mhm.
I have a gap here, so since he played it, let's go ahead and talk about that, and I'll go back and ask you some other questions. Okay? So tell us about the new single, "Joys of Love."
Yo, it's a song. It's a trust me song. It's a song that says, hey, you know what? I'm really feeling you, and I'm good peeps too. I'm down with God. This is where you need to be. And I'm down for having a good time as well. In the words, like, I'm not here to play with your mind. I'm not here to play tricks on you. I just want to show you and introduce you to the finer things in life. No
Ooh.
lie, it's the truth. We can do it all, I promise you. That sort of thing. Yeah.
All
But it's
right.
real. Yeah.
What was the? Was there a certain inspiration behind that song?
Well, you know, at the time we're in this madness going on, right? And there's so much distrust and there's so much hatefulness going on. This is a song that's saying, you know, all that's going on, but God's still on the throne and good people prevail in the end. And there's nothing better than a great relationship. Nothing.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, did you write that during this pandemic, during COVID-19? Did that come about?
Actually, it was like I wrote this song in May
Oh,
last year.
Okay.
Um, but as it developed and, was in the studio,
Mm-hmm.
finished it up in LA, right?
Mm-hmm.
And right when I finished it up, I had did some uh, shows out there and got right back to Ohio. 2 days after I'd gotten back to Ohio, the whole COVID thing kicked off strong
Mm-hmm.
in LA. I, I was like 2 days ahead of it.
Woo.
Um,
Back.
so yeah, it was crazy. But I wanted to do some music, Not only was the COVID-19, we got all this racist stuff going on out here, right?
Yes. Yes.
The energy is a crazy energy in our country right now. And I wanted to do something that was different than that, and it brought something different, a place where people could um, relax and get some calm to face that energy the next day. And again, when you have relationships, when we have a man and a woman that's like, come what may, doesn't matter. We got
Mm-hmm.
our thing together. We can get through it. And that's what that song is.
Wonderful. And I love that song. So we'll before we end, we'll make sure we tell everybody where they can find it and download it. But it's a beautiful song. I really
Thank
like
you.
it. It's very smooth. It's just got that smooth thing going on. It just makes you feel good. At least that's how I feel about it, Steve. So,
Yeah, I call it feel good music. No doubt. No doubt.
absolutely. Um, yeah, there's people saying they don't know what it is, but they liked it when DJ 12 was playing it. So now you all know that last song was Steve's new single.
Yeah.
Um,
The joys of love. Yeah.
yes, shout out to my Dayton homie, the Invade. Tell me, the Invade, what is that, Steve?
The invade is like my nickname, right? When
Yes.
get on the track and I come on the track sideways, baby, right? So I was
Uh-huh.
like, yo, that's the invade. I come on the track, I'm gliding through the place, right? The invade.
I
Yeah,
love
so
it.
like, it sort of describes my vocal style. Like
Okay. Okay.
I'm
Very good.
gliding and I'm vibing on the track and I'm swinging and swaying through the track. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Because I see it all the time and I never knew. And that, by the way, was from Lamar Webster. Shout
The
out to my
homie
Dayton.
Lamar.
Yeah.
Shout out Lamar, record player. Yeah, no doubt. One of the groups from Dayton.
Oh, very good. Illinois in the house. That's Roger Atkins. Hump to bump
Mm.
bomb track. Oh, they like the. That was Carl Chastain saying humpo the bump bomb track. We love you, brother Steve Lewis family. That's from Jerry Lewis.
I appreciate it.
Um, so okay, I think they're talking about Joys of Love. Everybody was naming that. So Terry Brown says, "Sang Unc."
What's up, Terry? You know what it is. Nothing but love.
um, Randy Butler says his drummer on "Weak at the Knees" was Roger the Dodger Parker. Right
Oh,
now.
absolutely. Absolutely. Dodge. Give me
Oh,
one.
okay.
Dodge crazy with it, man.
Steve, you are amazing. The sounds that are coming out your mouth, what you can do with your
Oh,
voice.
man, I like to have fun with it.
Oh, yes. So let's transit. We got a few more minutes, and I just want to talk about two things. When you decided to leave R&B music or music
Mhm.
for a while,
Mhm.
and then when you came back. So we talk about your decision to leave. Tell
Mhm.
us about that.
Well, I remember being on the road. I remember being, on the bus in a bunk, and I was thinking, wow, man, it's got to be more to it than this.
Hmm.
You got to understand, I love music. I
Right.
absolutely love music. Um, but I thought, there's got to be more to it. I was very much into John Coltrane. John Coltrane was also a musician that brought his spirituality into his music. You have Meditations, Love Supreme, Ascensions, and he was just a spiritual person, right? I grew up in the church. My great uncle was a preacher, and Bethsaida Baptist in Dayton, Crown Point. I grew up in that church, and I have family members that are preachers. Um, so I have that spirituality. My cousin is a preacher, Johnny Allen, and so it's always been in me. So as my music career developed, the love for God and the spirituality started to come out more and more and more. And I said, I have to pursue this. It can't be on the back burner anymore. So what I did in around 82 was my
Mhm.
last record with Slave. And then I did the Hall of Fame. And then I went into just Steve Arrington. It wasn't Steve Arrington's Hall of Fame. And I did a song called Feel So Real. And now my spirituality was getting to the forefront and my lyrics were starting to be more toward God and
Okay.
thanking God and appreciation to do my best. And there's a lyric that you do your best and that's enough for him.
Mhm.
Dancing in the key of life. So my lyrics started to change and then it got deeper and deeper and it says, I have to deal with my pursuit for God. And I did that and I walked away from the music thing for 25 years. Um, and I was fine with what I was doing. I didn't look back. I didn't feel like I made a wrong decision. I didn't
Mhm.
feel uncomfortable about what I was doing at all. But after 25 years, I started feeling that thing from the Lord. Hey, man, all this love and what you're getting, get back out there to where you come from, man. Show that love to where you come from. Do your thing, man. Do fresh new music. And so that's what I did. And what was so great about it is everyone embraced me so much. All of my friends from back in the day that I hadn't seen, all the
Yeah.
band members welcomed me back. I just want to say much love to Confunction,
Oh, yes.
the homies, man, Michael Cooper and those guys really showed me love.
Yeah.
Lakeside, the homies, they really showed me love. And Zap, I mean, all the people that I used to tour with, you right? And
Right.
then there was these new guys because I was doing underground music as well. So I
Okay.
was I was doing collabs with different people, like this dude Dane Funk,
Yes.
underground Funk Cat. Also, I did a thing with Cool Mo D uh,
Mhm.
2 or 3 years ago. So I was doing these collabs with people from other genres as well. But overall, I call it heavy appreciation mode. I thought, well, nobody's going to even remember me. I've been gone 25 years. I didn't know, who's what promoters, I had to learn all of that.
Right.
But the bottom line was so many people showed me love. I got on the Masters of Funk doing a lot of Masters
Yes.
shows
Yes.
with the Barcades. Big ups to them. So there's a lot of people who say, yo, man, we got you, bruh. And I have nothing but respect and honor for them. And I want to shout out to my Lakeside homies. They showed me love. Zach. So yeah, absolutely.
So, Steve, just tell us 25 years, that's a long
Mm.
time.
Yes.
What were you doing for 25 years?
I was preaching, I was
Mhm.
leading praise and worship, I was playing drums at different churches, I was in itinerant ministry. Yeah, I did all of that.
Wow.
Um, and that's what I did for 25 years. I did music, but I didn't do secular music.
Right.
I did nothing, and I didn't particularly do. It wasn't like, okay, I went in the gospel music and went on Word Records or something and put out
Right.
albums that I did in like '09, '08. I put out an album, Pure Thing, and that was when I was just starting. You know what? I'm feeling something, so I
Mhm.
started putting out some new music, and then this label Stone's Throw hit me up. Said, yo, man, we heard like a loop of yours or something. We need
Mhm.
to talk. And so, they hit me up and we started talking about doing some music. And that was my doorway back into it. With the album Higher with this artist Dane Funk. And then I was continuing to put out, music. And I started defining my way back into the classic scene where I grew up. And like I said, all these artists and bands embraced me.
Yeah.
But yeah, 25 years is a long time. And I had to like totally get it together on could I even do it again? Um,
Mhm.
and I just kept building momentum and kept going and going and feeling more comfortable and believing in myself and those around me. Like big ups to Michael Cooper. I'll never forget a conversation I had with him backstage once that really encouraged me. And
Wonderful.
they've been such a blessing. But big ups EQ. Um,
Yes,
KC,
we
homies.
love Mike Cooper and EQ. Yes, I love Confession. Hopefully, we're going to get them back on here. I haven't talked to them in a while, so they'll probably be coming along here one of these days too. Love them, and I'm glad you had that support because I'm thinking, was it a little challenging to make that to come back after
Well,
25 years?
well, yeah, because first of all, it's like I hadn't sang my own songs in such a long time.
Right.
And my range and all of that, and being back on stage and working a crowd again. But yeah, I was having so much fun. That's the thing about it is, yeah, it was challenging, and it was like, yo, can I do this?
Mm-hmm.
But I was having so much fun. So one show like catapulted me into the next show,
Okay.
into the
That's
next one. You know what I'm saying? It was like
yes.
a slingshot effect. And as I came back around, I got more momentum, right?
Okay.
Did the Tom Joyner show,
Yes,
that's
that's
a
it
big
was there.
for me.
Yes,
A Tom Joyner cruise, that was a big deal for me.
it was
So,
great.
I just sort of, it was that snowball effect where I just started picking up momentum and feeling like, yo, man, this is working for me. And I felt confident that I was representing myself the way I wanted to. And like I
Okay.
said, I started doing the gigs and, and working a lot. So yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an amazing thing to be gone 25 years and then come back into it and go like, okay, let me just relaunch again, right?
Yes. And you were also that some of your collaborations, they introduced you to a whole new generation of fans. Tell us a
Absolutely.
little bit about working with Dan Funk.
Well, it was a funny thing because he's a producer and artist and also a DJ. So Peanut
Mhm.
Butter Wolf, who is the head of Stone's Throw Records, they was like, "Yo, man, just come out here. You're gonna see these kids love you." I'm like, "They really?" He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna see, bro. You're gonna see." So I did this gig at the Do Over. This was 09, 10, 11, something somewhere in there. And I start singing Just a Touch of Love. And I'm looking out, these are all 20 and 30 somethings, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
They know all the words, they know the backgrounds, they know all of it, right?
Wow.
I'm like, yo, okay. And so Weak in the Knees, they knew all the words, they knew the music. Now, one thing is hip hop because of the samples. These
Right.
kids, they like the songs, but then they go back and say, okay, now where did so and so get that sample from? Where does the sample come from? So then oh, okay, Steve Arrington, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, then NWA does the movie Straight Outta Compton, and they're
Mhm.
using Weak in the Knees as the first
Yeah.
song that Ice Cube did a freestyle on, right?
Right.
So, all of a sudden the spot is stirring up, and now this young fan base now is coming along and saying, yo, we feeling you. We messing with you. And I'm doing some nice collabs. Um, and the most recent with the great artist Thundercat. And that opened up a whole nother a door for me that ended up having me on Jimmy Kimmel's show with
Yes, I saw that.
Steve Lacy. Um, and
Yes.
Flying Lotus, so I'm like, oh, okay. So, they're the younger cats, they're looking at the music that I did before and saying, hey man, where's your head at now? So I'm like, yo, man, let's get it. So I'm putting my 2 cents in and doing my thing, and they're feeling like the way I'm hearing things today. And I'm having a lot of fun. Like I said, heavy appreciation mode, whether it's with the classic scene and doing my more classic music or doing new music that I've been putting out, in collabs with other artists. And, I just love it all.
Well, we couldn't be happier for you, Steve.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're back. I of course have always been a fan, but we love your music. We're going to keep supporting you. Can you tell everyone where they can find your new single? And you said, is the album coming out?
Yes, the album will be out in August. It's called Down to the Lowest Terms, The Soul Sessions.
Okay.
And that'll be out in August. The single, The Joys of Love, you can get it on iTunes, Bandcamp, Amazon, and we'll have some vinyl out there as well. That's another thing. We're gonna have some vinyl off of this album and some
Okay.
vinyl 12 inches. But yeah, you can get it all at all the normal spots on streaming and downloads. And we're people are feeling it. I'm excited about it. And the classic cats from where I come from, they seem to be enjoying it. And the younger people that have come along board on for me, what I'm doing in my career, they seem to be enjoying it too. So I'm having a good time. And having interviews with you, I mean, I remember when we first met. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is a wonderful thing.
Oh, absolutely. It's always a pleasure. Um, so, everyone, you heard that, Unsung Tears and the fans. Be sure you download Steve's new single. And when the album comes out, maybe we'll have you back so you can talk a little bit more about that.
Okay.
That would be awesome. So, in closing, or before we actually close everything down, is there anything I always like to ask people sometimes if they have a word of encouragement? You kind of gave some, with all the things going on right now, and there's a lot between COVID and the racial tensions. Do you have any words of encouragement or anything you want to leave us with, Steve, today?
Well, we're going to get through all of this. And I think, there's a lot of things that have come up that have needed to be addressed and dealt with in the Black community. Black Lives Matter, what's going on out here with, I mean, Dave said it best, right? 8 minutes, 46 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, the attention, God has got folks' attention. And we got to keep going. We got to keep going. We got to keep going. And then keep that love, because at the end of the day, that's what that is at the end of this thing, is that love comes back, and that love dispels this hate. And while we're dealing with this stuff out here, stay together, have each other's back, and keep praying for each other, and keep going forward, keep marching, keep going for the truth. And this thing will work out, and we'll be better for it on the other end. As far as the COVID-19, people be safe, keep the masks on, let's get our social distancing as much as we can. We'll get through that too. And let's just keep praying for each other, keep calling your friends and family. How you doing? You all right? And encouraging each other. And we're still doing music, and on the other side of this, we'll get our shows popping. Um,
Yes.
and we'll
Yes.
all go into the next phase of where life is on planet Earth.
Well, amen to that. Thank you, Steve. What a wonderful way to spend my afternoon with you, Steve. Thank you so much for taking the time. Always a pleasure. Please tell Leslie hello for me. Leslie is Steve's wife, everyone. She's wonderful. The woman behind the man makes things happen. So we appreciate her. And on that note, I want to tell everyone, if you missed any of this, you can always find this on YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel under Tanya Hawley, or on the KAMDI group page. Be sure you follow me and subscribe to the page. I have all the chats, all of the conversations are there, and you can see them there. Steve, I want to have you back because we always have fun. I didn't get to some of my questions, but we'll have you back. I want to talk to you when the album comes out so we can support you. Okay.
Okay, I
So
appreciate that.
we love you. We wish you the best and success and continued success. I look forward to seeing you more on television, in concert, and everywhere else. And I don't have my official wine glass, but I am going to virtually toast you my water cup today for Black Music Month. You are our last interview, our last conversation for Black Music Month. So thank you for that. And we are toasting you and to the wonderful music you have given us all these years. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you. Much
And
love. Respect.
on that, everyone, thanks for joining us. And we will see you next time. Have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.
Hey, Kandid, thank you.
Thank you.